Hey guys, my name's Llama and today we'll be continuing our series where we look at the 5 great but slightly more obscure reasons to play every given class in Wrath of the Lich King. Today it's going to be the turn of the Death Knight, the new hero class added in Wrath of the Lich King, so let's dive straight into it with my 5th reason. So in at number 5 we have just how well thematically it fits to play a Death Knight in Wrath of the Lich King. Like I just alluded to, they were added in this expansion and they fit perfectly into the story, being the escaped servants of the Lich King himself. How much more fitting can it be than being one of the upstarts who's fought against the Lich King all the way up to his own front door and then be the one who defeated him? It could not be more perfectly fitting if it tried. So if you are someone who cares about the story and the RP and everything like that, then this is absolutely the way to go with regards to your class selection. And along a similar line, we're also going to discuss at number 4 the fact that you have access to the legendary weapon SHADOWMOURNE that can be crafted from doing the Icecrown Citadel raid. Again, not only is this going to be a wonderful weapon, and the fact that you have access to a legendary is going to feature on every single one of these classes that can get one of these legendaries, but when you are a Death Knight, it does also have that big added perk of the thematicism of being able to get the Sister Blade to your rival the Lich King's Frostmourne. This is going to add the extra degree into getting this legendary weapon in regards to the storytelling perspective, which I think is going to really round out your experience of playing Wrath of the Lich King. Now at number 3 we're going quite the opposite direction, away from the story into purely a gameplay mechanics point of view for point number 3, and that is going to be Flavour of the Month. That's right, I'm actually touting this as a good thing. A lot of people, when they play MMOs, they think that the game gets stale, they get to a certain point where they think they've done everything and they're just not that interested in playing anymore. And at that point, that's when we all hope that content comes, and one of the big things with this expansion and all the content it's bringing is going to be this class. So if, like me, you've been playing since day 1 of Classic's release, you've probably played pretty much all of the classes, at least to some degree by now, or maybe you've even been playing and you can still consider it be the full length since 2004 when we got the game originally. You've probably played it all, seen it all, done it all. So getting something new is probably going to be a very appealing thing for you, and the Death Knight is not only going to be a new class and in an iteration that we haven't seen in legitimate WoW for a very long time, but also it's a very interesting class with a lot of dynamics to how it works that makes it feel incredibly different to anything that we currently have in the game, which I think adds a great deal of value as well. Now in at our penultimate spot, we're going to talk about one that's a little bit unsure as to how well it's going to do, but the potential for soloing is really high with a Death Knight. Now I appreciate that this is the 3.3.5 class balance version of the Death Knight, so it's not going to be as ridiculously strong as it might otherwise have been, and I also appreciate that this is not modern retail version of the Death Knight with its self-sustainability options. However, the reason that the retail version of Death Knights has that is because it was an evolution of what we originally got back in Wrath of the Lich King with the Death Knight, and it still has a great deal of potential for being able to solo old content, and or possibly even current level content. Now, why you would want to do this is, well, basically for fun for a lot of people that do it, but also there is potentially gold to be made in doing it, or the capacity to farm for rare items such as mounts and pets and things now that we have the collection tabs, and more people are going to be interested in doing that than ever before. The Death Knight is going to make a very good option for doing this, given that it has most of the skill sets that it's going to be able to require in order to be excellent at doing these soloings. And if you're looking for a rare drop, it's bad enough having to look for the low chance of getting the item to drop without then having to win a roll to get it from other people who are helping you to do that content. So it's going to give a nice alternative for people who prefer to play alone for doing these things. And finally, at number 1, I'm putting the capacity for emblem farming. The Death Knight is going to be an absolutely brilliant choice when it comes to being a farmer of emblems, and I know what you're all thinking, but surely, Llama, we need to get our emblems on the characters that we want them on. And if you are talking strictly in terms of the gear that you are going to want to purchase with these emblems, then yes, absolutely, that is true. However, there are many other things, for example heirlooms, that you are going to want to be purchasing with emblems as well. And when it comes to farming these emblems, getting yourself a character that is going to be having the capacity to tank, which of course a Death Knight is going to be able to, as well as also just being very strong in any role that it's going to want to do, is going to enable you to be able to get groups very easily and be able to clear the dungeons very efficiently to get these emblems on the board. And that is something that is going to be very beneficial if you're trying to get a large amount of emblems in a relatively short space of time. For me, that's going to be the number one reason to play a Death Knight, and as a result, it's probably going to be one of the reasons why I will eventually get myself one, and then with a view to using it to get my heirlooms. But that's going to about wrap it up for this video, guys. That's my opinions on the big 5 obscure but excellent reasons to play a Death Knight in Wrath of the Lich King. If you have any more, let me know down below.